1K petrol bombers 5K, says SIT. Army moves to stop illegal sale of new outfit. Indie government, Indigo and Go First mass leave. Some technicians dismissed. 14 Chinese staying illegally in India detained. No end in sight for Lanka crisis. EU to urge countries to curb gas use. Hungary declares energy emergency. Poll. For PM, most Tories favor junior trade men penny mordant. Pakistan court bars army from claiming ownership of land. Trump's tweet and an unhinged WH meet led to capital riot. Bill Gates vows 20. So it's only $20.
$20 billion. BN and dollar.
$20 billion to stem global surfing. Biden's first bump Picasso in Israel mulls bid to avoid MBS handshake. Hashima Hassan journey from Hazratganj, Lucknow to Hubble to James Webb Telescope. Pope names 3 women to all men bishop advisory plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This one. Gotabaya wife flee to Maldives. Lanka PM declares emergency.
Good morning, all of you. Gotabaya wife flee to Maldives. Lanka PM declares emergency. President yet to resign names Renil stand in Colombo. Sri Lanka President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled to the Maldives on military jet with his wife and 2 bodyguards on Wednesday. Driven out after an economic collapse unleashed a popular uprising that appropriate to end his family near to
2 decades.
Dominance of the country. His decision to leave his all ally PM Rani Vikramasinghe in charge as acting president triggered more demonstration with protester storming the premier's office demanding that he go to Vikramasinghe
whose whereabouts?
Whereabouts?
Write the word whereabouts. WHEREBOUTS. Whereabouts का मतलब what is the meaning of whereabouts? कहाँ पे रह रहे हैं, कहाँ पे ठिकाना है, like that. Whereabouts
are unknown. Declared emergency and nationwide curfew till Thursday morning to quell further unrest.
फुल स्टॉप है, पैराग्राफ चेंज है,
unrest.
ठीक है, तो फुल स्टॉप, पैराग्राफ चेंज, 1 सेकंड का पॉज, उसके बाद आगे
Rajapaksa who is said to be flying from the Maldives to Singapore is yet yet to send his resignation
to
to the speaker. The move to flee the country will still President grants Rajapaksa immunity from being
Detained.
detained, detained by a new government.
Government.
Earlier in the day,
Define.
defining the emergency, thousands of protesters waving
Lankan flag.
Lankan flags surrounded the building building of the PM's office. It feels pretty
Marvelous.
marvelous.
People
People were trying to take his place for about 3 hours, said college student Sanchuka
Kambida.
Kavinda,
Kavinda.
standing next to a mangled open gate. Everyone is in his crowd will be here until Ranil also stepped down.
चलो thank you.
Thank you.
चलो बाबू please come. Rishi Sunak. This one. Take the mic.
This one.
Sunak wins first vote.
Good morning, all of you. Sunak wins first vote to be next British PM on 6 left in
Miss,
Francie.
we must be aware about Rishi Sunak. Who is he? Rishi Sunak. Son-in-law, Damad of Narayana Murthy. ये था एक पॉइंट उसके बाद फिर ब्रिटिश में अपना सुनक SUNAK ऋषि सुनक
Left in Freenown. London former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak won the
थोड़ा आवाज को और तेज करो.
biggest banking firm conservative lawmaker on Wednesday in the first vote to choose who will succeed Boris Johnson as party leader and British Prime Minister, while British
चलो
British Prime Minister, while two more rebels were eliminated. Sunak, whose resignation was as finance minister last week, helped precipitated Johnson's fall. Sorry, this one. Precipitate. Johnson's fell success secured support from 88 of the party's 358 members of the parliament, with junior trade minister Penny Mordaunt second with 67 votes, and forgive minister Liz Truss third with 50. Nidim Jahvi, who took over as finance minister from Sunak last week, and forgive minister
foreign minister.
forum
Foreign.
where sir forgive
Foreign.
okay sir foreign
FOREIGN. Foreign.
okay, sir. Foreign minister Journey Hunt were knocked out over failing to get the required minimum at 30 votes. They joined three contenders who dropped out the day before.
ठीक. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, madam. You come. चलो, माइक्रोप्लास्टिक्स इन फार्म लैंड्स अ मैटर ऑफ कंसर्न।
माइक्रो
वो जो प्लास्टिक ये सब है ना, अब वो इसमें है, खेती की ज़मीन में है,
यस
वो तो पूरा बर्बाद कर देगा।
यस
यही न्यूज़ है, पढ़ो।
microplastics in farmlands a matter of concern. Patna recent finding microplastic and nanoplastic in the
नैनोप्लास्टिक्स।
nanoplastics in the farmlands of Bihar have sounded an alarm bell among the environmentalists. The presence of these wastes in the food of chain can lead to various diseases in human beings. At present, studies have indicated the presence of microplastics,
Tiny materials.
tiny materials less than 5 mm in diameter in the agricultural fields and crops of two districts, namely Bhagalpur and Buxar. Only, however, it may be found in the agricultural fields of some other districts. If a detailed study was made, claimed the scientist, expressing his grave concern over the finding of microplastics in some field, the Bihar State Pollution Control Board's chairman Ashok Kumar Ghosh told this newspaper that because of extensive use of plastics, recently the single use of plastic along with thermocol product have been banned by the government of India across the country. Microplastics have become a very serious environmental issues. The presence of plastics in the agricultural field of a state is indeed a matter of serious concern, he said. Ghosh said the plastic wastes that accumulate in the environmental are broken down into smaller fragments and particles due to physical, chemical, or biological activities, gradually forming microplastics due to various human activities such as plastic nucleing, plastic nucleing,
कहाँ पे?
nucleing,
न्यूक्लिंग,
sewage,
सेवेज,
fertilizer. fertilizer coating and littering. So soil has become the largest reservoir of
रिजर्वायर मतलब वो जहाँ पे स्टॉक होता है ना, जैसे वाटर रिजर्वायर,
yes sir,
रिजर्वायर।
reservoir of
अब जो
microplastics.
फार्म लैंड है, जो खेती की जमीन है, वो रिजर्वायर बन गया है ये प्लास्टिक का।
Yes sir.
तो खेती कहाँ से होगी?
No, sir. The microplastic and nanoplastic have been exposed to humans via service pathways such as tap and bottled water, beverage, seafood, milk, salt, fruits, and vegetables. Recent studies conducted in various parts of the world have also indicated that the microplastic can enter into blood cells of the human body and cause organ toxicity and
डिसफंक्शनल
dysfunctional metabolic activities resulting resulting in
कार्सिनोजेनिक,
carcinogenic disease.
राइट, कार्सिनोजेनिक, कार्सिनोजेनिक। व्हाट इज कार्सिनोजेनिक? स्पेलिंग कार्सिनोजेनिक, मीनिंग कार्सिनोजेनिक, फार्मलैंड, खेती की ज़मीन में प्लास्टिक, वो करते करते अनाज में, और उसके बाद अनाज कार्सिनोजेनिक, और पार्टिकल्स भी प्लास्टिक का अनाज में, और उसके बाद पेट में, तो कार्सिनोजेनिक। व्हाट इज कार्सिनोजेनिक? कैंसर फॉर्मिंग। Now the food, it getting transformed into carcinogenic foods. Carcinogenic foods is all these things, right? All these things carcinogenic. But now with chawal carcinogenic. So this is alarming. Clear?
He said Ghosh, who is also associated with the city-based Mahavir Cancer Sansthan as its research center head, further pointed out that the consumption of microplastic was significantly associated with diseases like infertility, obesity, cancer, and others. He said even though studies on human health due to instigation or inhalation of the microplastic and the nanoplastic have been getting at attention recently. More studies are required on the mechanism of damage caused at molecular and cellular due to consumption of the microplastic and nanoplastics. Data gaps related to the potential nanoplastic formation in the gastro, gastronal tract
Gastrointestinal.
gastrointestinal tract of human beings should be studied in greater detail, he said. Patna University's biotechnology teacher Virendra Prasad also observed that recent studies indicate microplastic and as ubiquitous environmental concerns.
Chalo, thank you. So, chalo, COVID. State registers.
Good morning, everyone. State registers 565 fresh COVID cases, one more death in 24 hours. The state recorded a massive increase in number of COVID-19 cases on Wednesday, as 565 more people tested positive for the virus in the last 24 hours, including 219 in Patna. This is the highest single day case since June, when the virus started seeing an upward trend in the state. The virus also claimed the life of one more person in the last 24 hours. With this, the state's COVID toll has increased to 12,266. The first victim was a 45 years old woman from Patna who had no comorbidity. AIM's Patna nodal in charge for COVID-19, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, said the woman was admitted to the hospital on July 11 with
July.
July 11
July.
July
Ja.
July 11 with respiratory disease and died
Disease. वो
of
तो जुलाई किया ना, उसको जुलाई कर दो. जो
जुलाई?
डिजीज है उसको डिजीज.
disease
हाँ.
and died on Tuesday. She had come to the hospital in a critical condition with low oxygen level. He added, altogether 14 COVID patients were undergoing treatment at AIMS Patna, including 5 from Patna on Wednesday. As per the health department, as the 565 new cases were registered against 120,299 samples tested and 93 samples tested, and positivity rate in the state stood at 0.46%. Patna had the highest positivity rate at 3.11%. Apart from Patna, Bhagalpur had the second highest number of cases on Wednesday at 89, followed by Banka 38, Gaya 23, Khagadiya 20, Purnia 19, Saran 12 and Jahanabad 12. The number of active COVID cases in the state has increased to 2,510. Patna tops the list with 1,323 active cases, followed by Bhagalpur 223, Gaya 124, Banka 111, Khagadiya 81, Muzaffarpur 74, Jahanabad 55 and Saran 53. Meanwhile, 398 more people recovered from the virus in the state in the last 24 hours. Among 2,510 active COVID patients, 50 were undergoing treatment at different health facilities, including 12 in private hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you. चलो now इधर आओ. वो Rishi Sunak, Kamala Harris. Two important persons. Right, Rishi Sunak and Kamala Harris. Indian origin, but now you know, one is British, one is American.
Good morning. Good, good morning, everyone. Today's headlines are Rishi, Kamla or Hum. Why Indian origin leaders in key foreign governments aren't always aren't always aren't always good news for India. 2 decades ago, the Vajpayee government accepted the report of the high-level committee of the Indian diaspora chaired sir, मेरा आवाज़ yes sir by Indian chaired by the distinguished L.M. Singhvi and decided to celebrate a and decided what yes the problem is sir.
Take the mic. Start from here. 2 decades ago, the Vajpayee government. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shreya, and today's headline is Rishi, Kamal or Hum. Why Indian origin
Rishi
leaders
Kamla.
Rishi, Kamla or Hum. Why Indian origin leaders in key foreign governments aren't always good news for India. 2 decades ago, the Vajpayee government accepted the report of high-level commitment on the Indian disappropriation L.M. Singhvi and decided to celebrate. Celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas every year in recognizing and appreciation of the constructive economic, political and philanthropic role played by the Indian diaspora. The economic and philanthropic role of overseas Indian have been repeatedly welcomed by successive government. It's the political role that creates both excitement and
जब तक इंडिया में है ना उसका अलग माइंड है ये ऐसा बोल है अंदर से भी यही लव इज द मैटर ऑफ पर्सन अब जब वो बाहर नेशनलिटी पे जाते हैं बाहर काम करने के तो बाहर की कंट्री नेशनलिटी ऑफर करते राइट तो इंडिया 2 नेशनलिटी ऑफर नहीं करता इंडिया मतलब आप इंडिया में भी कर सकते हैं और बाहर कर सकते हैं अक्षय कुमार की बात नहीं कनाडा को एक्सेप्ट किया पाकिस्तान और दूसरी कंट्री और 2 नेशनलिटी एक्सेप्ट करती है पॉलिसी है इसमें डिबेट नहीं है now why these people are accepting and celebrating nationality it's a lot of concern so the happiness because any country government policy this we need to understand but if you say that we are right you will actually level it from the this is the one
it's the political role that creates both excitement and angst in increasingly a source of concern in home and host countries. Not surprisingly, therefore,
source of concern.
Not surprisingly, therefore, Indian officials are presently hoping that a Boris-like figure would be elected British Prime Minister rather than a South Asian brown skin. Rishi Sunak may be Indian origin and the son-in-law law of patriotic Indian, but it's best that someone like Liz Truss makes it easier to deal with the United Kingdom through a fish and ship true blue Brit than through a dosa. Sorry, we can.
एफिसिएनाडो कुछ डिश होगा.
Aficionado, that was the lesson learned dealing with the United States and Canada. When PM Modi raised the domestic political profile of the Indian diaspora with his televised mega show overseas, was hoped the audience at home would be enthused by the success and adoration of overseas Indians, but the politics of overseas Indians can cut both ways. Love you and some don't. In any case, politicians of Indian origin in foreign countries have to please their domestic audience, not an Indian one. So, as the US Vice President, Kamala Harris has to speak for her constituent at home, even if that means displeasing Indians. More to the point, any political inventions by Harris that has a link to an Indian concern may always be interpreted in one way or another. Both in US and in India, President always Joe Biden always be seen promoting US interests while Indian expect Harris to be sensitive to Indian ones. That's the kind of concern shaping the thinking in New Delhi about recent political development in London. There are three very different kind of political roles that the Indian diaspora can potentially play. The first type is where overseas Indians promote Indian national interests. That was on display in the US between 1993 to 2008 when US congressional support for Indian national interests increased thanks to the political activity of Indian Americans. The support for India on issue permitting to Kashmir and the nuclear program increased year after year with the Indian Americans funding pro-India lobbies. This finally translated into US congressional support for the US India civil nuclear energy deal. A second kind of political role that overseas Indians can play in when they are in fact in control of the governments of the host countries. Thus, people of India origin in Marutis have played a significant role in making the island nation an important strategic partner for India. It's the third kind of role that bothers Indian officials. That's when overseas Indians become excessively and most and sometimes obsessively anti-Indian. Consider the case of Malaysia. India had good relation with Malaysia when a real Malay like Najib Abdul Razak was Prime Minister. The Indian origin Mahathir Mohamad was always a difficult person to deal with. At last count, more than 200 persons of Indian origin have been elected to position of political power across 25 countries, with 10 governments being headed by a person of Indian origin. The latest addition to this list is the incumbent PM of Portugal, Antonio Costa. Many of them have been trouble-free friends of India, but some have made Indian diplomat work hard. The fact is that whether at home or overseas, the community of Indians is a diversified one. The Howdy Modi Houston event in 2019 was funded by over 100 Indian Americans community organizations. The community is divided along regional, linguistic, religious and caste line, and all their sectional politics come into play with a variety of ways impacting US-Indian relations. Those in the know of how domestic politics impact foreign relations are increasingly focused on the role of overseas Indian in shaping bilateral relations. Concern about human rights abuses in India have been heightened by the activism of overseas Indians within development country democracies. Any Indian politician who like to draw attention to their overseas popularity with people of Indian origin must also respond to concern of those who are not particularly enthusiastic about some leaders but have larger interests of the home country at heart. Of all the politically active overseas Indian communities, Canada has been home to the group that has generated the greatest concern in New Delhi. One day, Canada may well have an Indian origin PM in the US, and Indian origin politician is a heartbeat away from becoming. In the US, an Indian origin politician is a heartbeat away from becoming head of state, while Indian origin heads of government in countries like Ireland and Portugal may not worry New Delhi. London is a very different cup of tea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, since you are late, so you will not commit any mistake, right? If you commit any mistake, I will make you the mistake which you will do, 100 times. That word. 100 बार लिखवा देंगे. हाँ. Oil prices pose risks to global eco recovery.
हाँ सर
हाँ.
पूरा पढ़ना है।
अच्छा, तो हम तुमको बुलाया किस लिए? पूरा ही पढ़ने के लिए ना. तो काम को अधूरा छोड़ के जाओगे. पढ़ो. Oil prices.
Good morning everyone. I am Dharmendra Kumar. Today headlines are oil prices pose risks to global eco recovery. IEA says fuel cost impacting demand growth. It prices pose a high.
आवाज को और तेज करो.
It prices pose a high risk to the global economic recovery with sign that fuel costs are starting to take their toll on demand growth. The International Energy Agency said the Paris-based advisor trimmed forecast for oil consumption this year and next amid growing fear of a recession, warning that prices
कहाँ पे है? Prices threaten
stability in emerging economic. Still, the demand weakness is being offset by tightening supply as sanctions
Sanctions मतलब जो प्रतिबंध लगाया जाता है.
hit Russia and OPEC's spare capacity dwindles. Rarely has the outlook for oil.
Over to you next class.
Thank you.
चलिए over to you next class.